So you signed up for your first road running race, or you're just getting into running for the first time, and you keep coming across this term, pacing. Well, what is pacing? Today I'm gonna go over what pacing is for beginners. Let's jump right into it, guys. So pacing, what is pacing? Simply put, pacing is the average time it takes you to cover a mile or kilometer for a certain distance, all right? If you're running a 5K, how fast are you covering each mile on average for that 5K, the 3.1 miles, right? If you're with me so far, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Now, moving on. Pacing. You don't want to overthink this. When you're in training, you want to keep it as simple as possible, at least in the beginning. Then once you start getting, your running legs underneath you, you start getting some momentum, running more frequently, you're starting to listen to your body a lot more and understanding the do's and don'ts and the things that work out for you and the things that don't work out for you, then you can break it down a little more. But let's break it down and keep it simple down to 3. Your easy, your medium, your hard, all right? Your easy pace is gonna be something that you can have a conversation at this pace, right? So you're running along, you're running with your buddy or your homegirl, whoever it is, and you guys are having a conversation. That's gonna be your easy pace. Your medium pace is something that you really can't sustain more than like an hour. However, it's not really burning you out. You could throw out a couple words here and there, right? But you definitely can't really go over an hour, or at least not for now. And for sake of keeping this simple, let's just keep it down for an hour. And then hard is, we're talking about your sprinting. We're talking about your 100-meter repeats, your 400-meter repeats, so on and so forth. So at least in the beginning, when you're training for your first 5K, you want to keep it nice and simple, easy, medium, and hard. Then I believe when you go to further distances, or at least get a little more experience under your belt, you could break those down a little further into the 5 heart rate training zones, which we'll cover in another video. I might leave the link somewhere down below. But pacing is super easy, guys. Easy, medium, hard. Don't overdo it, okay? Now, when you're in your training, let's say you're training for your first 5K. 3.1 miles is a distance that you can cover in training. And it's important to try to cover it in training because come race day, you at least want to have an idea of what your anticipated pace for this 10K is going to be, or 5K is going to be, or whatever the race is. So let's just stick to 5K for now. So let's say you've regularly run 3-4 miles in training, all right? You've covered 4-mile distance in training. You did it at a conversational pace at 12 minutes a mile. Now, if you want to knock out your 10K race, but you covered it already at a slower pace, for a shorter distance, you can actually pick up the pace. And it's not gonna be at that conversational easy pace. You can actually pick it up. So covering the distance of a 5K in training is super important. And it's super important to figure out what these paces are, because you don't wanna go out there and just, empty your gas tank in the first mile or two, okay? Now, in a perfect world, you want to do what's called an even split. Even split is where you run the first half of the race at the same speed as the second half. Then you have what's called positive split. Positive split is when you run the first half faster than the second half. Take my word for it, you do not want to do a positive split. It is a horrible feeling. When you cross the finish line and you're literally getting over the finish line on fumes from your gas tank, there's nothing worse than that. I've actually PR'd and felt bad because I had a positive split. Now, what you should want to try to get is a negative split. A negative split is where you run the first half slower than the second half. You actually pick up speed the second half of the race. There is no better feeling than finishing a race with a negative split, because then you gave it your all, because you pushed and pushed and pushed that second half, and you were able to just empty that gas tank. Whereas a positive split, your gas tank was probably empty however many meters or even miles before the finish line. So that's why pacing is super important, okay? So in training, you want to figure out what that pacing is. If you're a beginner, keep it nice and simple. Easy, medium, hard. Why is pacing important? Because when you go out there for that race, everyone's heard the expression. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Meaning, you're not gonna go out there as fast for your marathon as you would for a shorter distance. Let's take the 5K and marathon as an example here. 3.1 miles versus 26.2 miles. I guarantee you, you go out in a marathon without any knowledge of what your pace is at that 5K speed, you're gonna blow up. You're gonna blow up, you may not even finish the race. So that's why pacing is super important. Now, again, how do you implement it in training? If you're new, keep it simple. Easy, medium, and hard. Let's get your foot in the door. Let's get you into this world of road running. And I'm glad to help you out in any way that I can. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below, guys. My name is Will. I feel blessed that you've come to watch this video. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Coach of Fitness and Running. Take care and God bless.